Loyalty is a word that carries a deep and powerful connotation. It is a value we are taught to cherish, a virtue that we aspire to uphold in every aspect of our lives. From relationships and business partnerships to political allegiances and family bonds, loyalty is regarded as one of the highest moral principles. It is the foundation upon which we build our connections and is often celebrated as a marker of character. But what if this deeply ingrained belief about loyalty is a dangerous misconception? What if the loyalty we so firmly hold onto is, in fact, an illusion that blinds us to the true nature of human relationships? Niccolò Machiavelli, the 16th century political philosopher, provided an unflinching analysis of human nature that challenges the very concept of loyalty. According to Machiavelli, loyalty is not a virtue, but a calculated deception, one that conceals the true dynamics of power, self-interest, and survival. In his seminal work, The Prince, Machiavelli outlines a worldview that shocks many modern sensibilities. Rather than portraying loyalty as an inherent moral quality, he describes it as a fleeting and transactional relationship governed by the constant recalibration of self-interest. Machiavelli's central thesis in The Prince is that human beings, by nature, are driven by self-interest, and loyalty is a performance that people engage in as long as it serves their personal gain. The famous quote from The Prince, "Men are by nature fickle," encapsulates his view. People may profess loyalty, but their true allegiance can shift in an instant if their personal interests change. Machiavelli's observations about loyalty were grounded in his experience as a diplomat and public servant in Renaissance Florence, where political allegiances were frequently tested and shifted. He witnessed firsthand how loyalty dissolved when the tides of power shifted, and how individuals, once devoted to a particular cause, would quickly realign themselves with a new one. A prime example of this is the behavior of the Florentine political elites, who shifted their allegiances between the Medici family and the Republic, depending on which group was in power. These shifting loyalties were not the result of personal betrayal or moral failure. Instead, they were the natural consequences of political survival. According to Machiavelli, the loyalty we often believe to be steadfast is, in reality, conditional upon the stability of the surrounding circumstances. When those circumstances change, so too does the loyalty of those involved. One of Machiavelli's most important insights into loyalty is the distinction he draws between the appearance of loyalty and its true substance. In a society built on appearances, people are more likely to judge loyalty by outward signs, oaths, ceremonies, and public declarations, than by the actual motivations behind those actions. Machiavelli recognized this as a key element of social functioning. The myth of loyalty, while often hollow, serves a psychological and social purpose. It provides a sense of security, a framework that allows people to cooperate despite competing interests and unstable conditions. People are willing to maintain the illusion of loyalty because it brings a sense of order to the chaos of social interaction. But, as Machiavelli argues, this illusion is often shattered when the costs of loyalty outweigh its benefits. Machiavelli's analysis goes beyond politics and addresses the broader human condition. In all spheres of life, from business partnerships to friendships, loyalty is often a performance that masks the underlying calculations of self-interest. Business partners may claim loyalty to one another, but the moment one sees a better opportunity, loyalty evaporates. Politicians pledge allegiance to certain causes or parties, but this loyalty is subject to change when public opinion shifts. Friends may promise eternal loyalty, but when the cost of supporting a friend becomes too high, the bonds of friendship fracture. The reality is that loyalty, when stripped of its moral and emotional veneer, is ultimately a transaction. It endures only as long as the perceived benefits of loyalty exceed the perceived benefits of betrayal. Machiavelli's perspective on loyalty is not purely cynical. Rather, it is an acknowledgement of the underlying dynamics of power. He argues that loyalty is inherently conditional, based on a constant assessment of risks and rewards. When loyalty is expected without reciprocation, it often becomes asymmetrical, favoring those with power. In political systems, for instance, rulers demand unwavering loyalty from their subjects, but they reserve the right to act in their own self-interest when the situation demands it. Similarly, in business relationships, employers may expect absolute loyalty from their employees, But when the company faces financial difficulties, the employer may prioritize its own survival over the well-being of its workers. Machiavelli doesn't necessarily condemn this asymmetry as immoral. Instead, he views it as a natural consequence of the power dynamics inherent in human relationships. Those in positions of power are often able to demand loyalty while preserving their freedom of action. The expectations of loyalty are not based on mutual obligation but on a one-sided desire to maintain control. In this light, loyalty serves the interests of the powerful by binding the less powerful, while allowing the powerful to retain the flexibility to act in their own best interests. This dynamic is evident not only in political and business contexts but also in personal relationships. In romantic partnerships or friendships, individuals with more options, whether due to financial security, social status, or other advantages, often expect greater loyalty from others than they are willing to offer in return. The imbalance of power creates a situation in which loyalty becomes more of a tool for control than a genuine expression of commitment. If loyalty is conditional, then what sustains relationships? Machiavelli offers a provocative solution. Relationships, especially those that endure, are anchored in something more durable than emotional attachment or professed loyalty. In his view, the foundation of stable relationships is fear, the understanding that betrayal carries meaningful consequences. Machiavelli's famous assertion that it is safer to be feared than loved is often misunderstood as a call for tyrannical rule, but it is, in fact, a recognition of the practical realities of human behavior. Fear, in this context, does not refer to terror or coercion but to the understanding that there are costs associated with betrayal. These costs can be legal, social, financial, or reputational. When the cost of betraying someone outweighs the benefits of disloyalty, the relationship is more likely to endure. Machiavelli saw this principle at work in the systems of governance and social contracts that were present in Renaissance Europe. Kings and rulers often relied on fear, not love, to maintain order. Similarly, modern institutions, from employment contracts to marriage, use mechanisms like legal agreements and financial penalties to ensure that betrayal is costly. The key point is that loyalty in this framework is sustained not by trust or emotional connection, but by the careful construction of systems that align interests and create consequences for disloyalty. This understanding of loyalty explains why some organizations or families maintain strong bonds despite difficult circumstances. It is not necessarily because individuals feel deep emotional attachment, but because their interests are aligned in such a way that disloyalty would incur significant personal costs. So, how can we navigate a world where loyalty is conditional and often unreliable? The answer, according to Machiavelli, is not to abandon all trust or succumb to cynical self-interest, but to recognize the conditional nature of loyalty and act accordingly. This means understanding the interests, motivations, and potential consequences that shape the actions of others. It means assessing not only the character of those around us but also the forces that influence their decisions. Machiavelli's perspective encourages a more strategic approach to relationships. Instead of expecting unwavering loyalty, we should focus on building systems that align our interests with those of others. In business, this might mean creating contracts that ensure mutual benefit. In personal relationships, it could involve cultivating interdependence and establishing clear expectations about what loyalty means. By anticipating the conditions under which loyalty might falter, we can better prepare ourselves for the inevitable shifts in allegiances that come with changing circumstances. Machiavelli's view on loyalty forces us to confront some uncomfortable truths about human nature. It strips away the comforting illusions of absolute commitment and reveals the conditional, transactional nature of human relationships. Yet, this realization is not entirely bleak. Understanding that loyalty is based on self-interest and power dynamics allows us to navigate relationships more effectively, preparing for the inevitable shifts in loyalty that arise when circumstances change. Rather than being disheartened by Machiavelli's perspective, we should embrace the clarity it provides. By recognizing that loyalty is not absolute but conditional, we can build more resilient relationships based on aligned interests and meaningful consequences. This understanding doesn't diminish the value of loyalty. Rather, it enhances our ability to cultivate it in a more realistic and sustainable way. In the end, the true difference lies not between the loyal and disloyal, but between those who understand the true nature of loyalty and those who do not. Thank you for accompanying. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel and leave a comment below so we can discuss. Wish you and your family good health.